What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Tasty Tuesday on Tasty Loot Gaming, the show where we talk about gaming news. My name's Seth.
And I'm Chevy.
And a couple quick reminders to download and play Greedfall, Maneater, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider, all offered for free on PlayStation Plus. Make sure to download those, play those. Come back at the end of this month for Plus Club. Let us know what we thought of those games. We will let you know what we thought of them. And our game of the month, picked by someone named Seth, is Deep Rock Galactic, which is a first-person digging, underground mining dwarf simulator. Make sure to download that, play that if you haven't and are interested in buying it. I think is the Steam sale still happening right now?
I think it's over now.
It's probably over by now, yeah. But it's worth it. Buy it, and unless you have it, play it, and come back at the end of this month for Game of the Month. We're going to be talking about that interesting fact. We played this. It was on our list originally for Game of the Month back in 2018, and I don't know if it was when it was put on there, but we pulled it in, I think, September, October, and played it then in early access, and we'll be talking about it now in full release. So
Right.
I'm curious to see how our grades maybe be the same or maybe different. So that'll be fun. A lot has come out since then. So make sure to come back for that conversation. We have a Discord link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all the time. We're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you prefer to listen to us. And we have a Patreon link down below if you'd like to support the channel further than liking, commenting, sharing this video, and subscribing if you're new. And hashtag AskTLG on your comment if you'd like it to be considered on Tastycast. Also, last quick reminder, January the 9th, that's this Saturday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll be doing a celebration stream for 2,000 subscribers. Thanks for subscribing, everybody who has subscribed. And this Saturday we'll be hanging out on stream, playing Jackbox games. You guys will be able to play with us. All you need is your phone and
Or a browser.
You can put in a code, watch the stream, and you can play with us. So that'll be fun. About the newest Jackbox and some of the older ones. So we'll be playing that. So come back Saturday on YouTube, also on Twitch, link down below, wherever you prefer to watch, and hang out with us. All right, Tasty Tuesday. We got 2 bits of news to talk about, so let's jump into it. First bit of news is a little bit of, let me see if this worked correctly. It did. A little bit of Epic Games buying a whole fucking shopping mall news. This is via Eurogamer. Epic Games buys shopping mall to convert into a new headquarters. Going into it, when most people pop to the shops, they pick up a few things. When Epic Games goes shopping, it buys its local mall. This week, Epic agreed to purchase the Cary Town Center, a 980,000 square foot site just down the road from its current home in Cary, North Carolina. The vast complex will become Epic's new home campus, which will open in 2024 after a 3-year plan to refurbish and rebuild the area. I'm hoping for some statues of Fortnite fave fish stick. Not familiar. Here's some aerial shots of the mall. It's a full-size mall. And then they've highlighted it with Epic Games. That's going to be the whole lot that they're buying, apparently, which is bigger than everything surrounding it. Continuing, while Epic will own the site, some of it may still be given over to use by the local community, the company said. Epic moved to Cary in 1999 after initially being founded at Potomac Computer Systems in Tim Sweeney's parents' house in Potomac, Maryland. I'm probably mispronouncing this shit. The company now says it has 50 offices worldwide, which will variously run the hugely successful Fortnite, develop Unreal Engine, and operate the Epic Games Store. If you want to take a look at how largely empty Cary Town Center looks currently, there are plenty of pictures over on the Strangely Interesting Dead Malls Reddit. Now, I have pulled this because I was curious about that. And I have some pictures here to go through real quick just to see how big this mall is, what they're going to be converting over to the headquarters of Epic Games, and just how dead this mall is. So for anybody listening, we're looking at pictures of a mall. It's pretty standard. It's pretty fucking big. Set up like a mall is. It'll be very interesting to see this essentially be turned into almost like a campus for Epic Games.
For sure.
It seems very empty throughout here. Got a lot of tables and a food court area and a beep that's going on forever, whatever the fuck that is. I mean, it's a fucking mall. So this will be Epic Games headquarters. And what do we think about them purchasing a whole ass mall to be where they're going to be running everything Epic Games? And what do you think about them purchasing a mall that's essentially gone under and possibly repurposing it so that people in the community may still be able to use it outside of Epic Games business?
Well, I mean, that's that's your VBUX hard work right there.
Yeah, that's a lot of V-Bucks.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a strange one because that's a huge area, though. I know, like, around here, not like necessarily right where we're at, but Microsoft has huge campuses all over the place too. So I'm not sure their actual size, but they're
Well,
pretty big.
Oh yeah, they're huge too, but those are built for that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see them buying something that kind of already exists.
Well, and they did say a 3-year refurbish and rebuild plan. So like they're obviously going to have someone come in, plan it out, and turn it into more like office style stuff. It'll be interesting to see it as a finished project because it's always difficult for me, at least, to see something that is already there and then see it as something else. You'll see like, spots that used to be like old banks or whatever, and they get turned into restaurants. You're like, wow, this is really bizarre. But I don't know. It's a huge chunk of land.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the most impressive part to me. Also, it seems kind of a weird choice too, because like they probably didn't need to do it, but I have a feeling it might have been partially due to maybe they want to make sure that the place that they're oh no, I can't think of the word. The town they're in, essentially, they want to make sure that it continues to thrive or whatever, I'm sure. And a big building but like that can stay abandoned for a long time. So
I mean, the original plans, I looked this mall up on that subreddit, and like 2 weeks ago, they're talking about how there's plans of just tearing it down because you can't repurpose this to most people aren't going to buy this
for sure.
So they're going to tear it down because it makes complete sense if it's just a giant building that will never get owned again or fucking the sections leased out. It's I mean, it's super fucking depressing to think about something that big just kind of dying off. I mean, we have like local mall areas around here that have been repurposed into multiple stores. So, malls are kind of specifically nowadays becoming almost a relic of the past. Because the idea of having to go to a giant building for multiple stores when a lot of that's done online, but then nowadays you can't go anywhere and shit. It's just become more and more of a thing where malls just can't really exist, and these buildings are fucking massive, so
For sure.
there's not much you can do with them unless you got like a Target that takes over a section of it and some other big ass stores, whatever.
They carry the weight.
Yeah, because otherwise who else is going to use that? But yeah, the first thing I was thinking of is like everybody knows Epic Games is making a lot of money. We've talked about it a million times with how much money they put back into Fortnite, knowing they have 50 places around the world for Epic Games is crazy. I didn't know that. I mean, it makes sense, but 50 is quite a bit, but those can vary in different sizes and shit, different size offices. But for them to be purchasing a whole mall to be their headquarters is fucking insane. That really just shows. Am I surprised they have that much money? No, but it really shows how much money they have to the point where they could purchase something that fucking huge. It makes sense in some ways. I'm sure that's where a lot of people who work there are going to be. They said also in a different article that they're going to have like recreation centers and shit inside there, which is typical of like game studios. They always have like interesting layouts to their studios. But yeah,
Tech industry is really interesting that way because like you don't work hourly, you work deadline wise, so they want you to be able to be comfortable there.
they want you to crunch.
Yeah.
They want you to live there.
Yeah.
That's why they feed them and fucking give them places to sleep. Anyway, it's crazy that they're buying this out, but I like that they are because the idea, like I said earlier, is that the building essentially being a dead building. I'm glad it's getting repurposed. I hate the idea of it just sitting there and dying off or being torn down. I also love the idea of possibly renting out sections of that to people in the community, possibly because that much space being empty and no one being able to inhabit it will take away from the economy of that town and that area. I mean, obviously Epic Games is helping with that, but if they can offer space for like stores, particularly local stores, to exist there, that'd be awesome. That'd be great, because then they're, they're having their needs met, but then they're also able to help facilitate some of the space that this mall was able to do when it was, I guess, healthier in its lifetime. But yeah, it's fucking crazy that this is happening. Specifically, like I said, when I read on Dead Malls like a couple weeks ago, they're saying it's going to tear it down. So they must have just made this decision. It's also kind of cool too that it's local to where they've been anyway. So to make that move makes sense. It's just crazy that I'm thinking of like the Unreal Engine's been around forever, and it's one of the biggest engines ever. And that made them epic. But Fortnite is such a huge property that it's propelled Epic in a way that like I never saw happening.
Yeah.
And it just seems to keep going. People keep telling me fucking battle royales are dead. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I think it's hard to get into that genre now, but the ones that are doing well are doing fucking very well. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's like anything though, where a bunch of people hopped in to try to get a piece of that pie. A handful will succeed in finding their corner of it, and then like you said, it's gonna be hard to get in, and it's just gonna be that handful. I mean, look at MMOs. So
yeah, it's kind of similar at this point. It's getting towards that point where you have to have like a really original idea to break into the industry, or not industry, into that genre.
Or wait 10 years.
Yeah, for sure. But anyway, really kind of crazy. I'm really, honestly, curious about what this is going to look like in 4 years. I'm sure they'll show it off a bit. Hopefully they do. And hopefully they can maintain their how well they're doing as a company. Because if they stop doing so well, that's quite the investment they made.
For sure.
So, anything else you want to say?
No, not really.
In the prior year, with all the things happening that are kind of shitty, it's kind of nice to hear something like this is getting recovered and fixed in a way, though. So I'm just happy to hear something like that.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it does benefit the
community.
The community, yeah. Anyway, let us know in the comments what you guys think about Epic Games' purchase of a whole mall to be their headquarters. What do you think about it? What do you think about Epic Games? What do you think about what they're doing with the money going into Fortnite and going back into the company? Do you play Fortnite? Are you a fan of Fortnite? And what do you want? What do you want to see Epic do in the future? Do you have any bring Paragon back?
I'd like them to just like maybe even dabble into anything, but I mean, even like an Unreal Tournament would be cool, or like a reimagining of it or something. So
yeah, I want to see different properties. I know it's annoying because I know Fortnite is very popular, so popular that they just stopped making Paragon because of it. So the idea of them making something else, it's like if they can just drop a game because it doesn't make the same amount of money as Fortnite, what's the chance of them making other games?
Yeah.
But I'd love to see, especially if they're going to be having like a giant headquarters like this, get some more people in to start working on different projects.
Yeah.
Because, I praise Epic, but I don't play any of their games at this point. So it's kind of weird. But, yeah, let us know in the comments everything you're thinking about when it comes to Epic Games and their giant acquisition with VBUX in the comments below. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have heard about this already, but there are alleged leaks for Cyberpunk 2077 and the content that allegedly got cut from the game, DLC that may be coming out, and a roadmap. Now, I want to say before we get into this list, take it with a grain of salt. This is not confirmed, but it is allegedly somebody who worked at CD Projekt Red, I believe, who leaked this information, and could be real, could not be real. Who knows? We're just going to discuss it and speculate. And yeah, so let's see. Cyberpunk 2077 alleged leak details, cut content, DLC, and update roadmap. Cyberpunk 2077 was being developed with a different end goal, and there have been a lot of changes since the E3 2018 demo, according to alleged leak. In a thread on 4chan, a developer who is claiming to have worked on CD Projekt Red for CD Projekt Red, shared details on the cut content, the update plans, and other information behind the scenes of Cyberpunk 2077 development. So this article, it's not even an article, it's a list I picked because it's just straightforward. It has the fucking bullet points. He did like type out a bunch of info and kind of gave his opinion, stuff like that. I read it a little bit, but we'd be here all fucking night if I went through that. So quickly, let's see. It says CDPR is planning a No Man's Sky style comeback for the game in late June. So later this year, they're going to try and do what No Man's Sky did and kind of like release a bunch of stuff that kind of fixes the whole experience. The first two major Cyberpunk 2077 updates will be out by mid-March. It says mock, but I'm sure it's supposed to be fucking March or match. So two major Cyberpunk 2077 updates, and they've already said that they would be releasing free DLC. I think free DLC, but they said DLC early this year, so that makes sense. Sony Japan was furious with the developers due to a large number of refund requests. I'm sure they were upset by that, hence why they got rid of the product that they would have to refund even more if they kept selling it. CD Projekt Red cut a quest that was rewritten multiple times because one of the executives wasn't feeling it, and it might be added with a post-launch DLC. I believe when I read about this, he said that a bunch of the people working on the game really liked this quest, but someone higher up was like, I don't like it. And they kept trying to keep reworking it, and they couldn't get him to dig it, so they cut it. So they're hoping to re-release it, essentially. Let's see. Most apartments with closed, locked indications used to be lootable. So there's a lot of doors around the city that say they're locked. Allegedly, you're able to go in those at one point, which is interesting. It sounds like if you already had made that content, why would you lock it off unless there's some kind of bug involved with that? CD Projekt Red scrapped 50,000 plus lines of dialogue, and the June update will bring a whole lot of cut content back into the game. So that's a lot of lines of dialogue. There used to be a huge underground part of the city that the public never got to see because it looked ugly to the executives. That's kind of interesting if that's true, because they said early on when they're making this game that they were going to have like a whole underground section of the game. Let's see. Before Keanu, the original Johnny Silverhand was way cooler and sounded like a maniac. The original Johnny Silverhand was heavily inspired by David Hayter's Solid Snake from the first Metal Gear Solid and Cillian Murphy. Which kind of makes sense, because if you look at the original art assets for him, not assets, but like the concept art, he does look very skinny and kind of like a little more edgier looking than Keanu Reeves. But that celebrity of Keanu kind of makes sense that they would mold him into that. So yeah, I could believe that. I also like Cillian Murphy, and I also like David Hayter and Solid Snake, so that would have been pretty cool. Let's see. There was a whole AI routine with minor gang violence in those areas. Players could watch it unfold or influence it directly. They scrapped roughly 160 gigs of content before E3 2019. I mean, that's really general. Let's see. 2 whole story arcs were scrapped due to a save bug with character placement. Not sure what that means. A big portion of the underground and sewers was scrapped due to bugs, so that kind of coincides with the other claim. Night City had 3 different types of cabs besides Villefort, and drivers would hold whole conversations and give quests, but that was scrapped. Police pathfinding script worked initially, but someone messed it up before launch, and they're working on fixing it now, which would make sense because the police in the game is probably the biggest problem I've seen in the game so far, for me personally. And last one is one of the planned DLCs will add Morgan Blackhand's backstory and a nod to the corporate wars. As is the case with leaks of this caliber, take it with a grain of salt. Cyberpunk 2077 is available now for PS4, Xbox One, PC, and all that shit you guys already know. What do you think about these alleged, take it with a grain of salt, leaks? Do you think there's any validity to any of these? Do you think any of these are enlightening to the situation? Any of this sound like something that you wished would have stayed in the game, or hopefully does come back to the game?
I mean, there's going to be aspects of this I just can't even talk about because I have literally barely started the game. Like, I just have not played it. For mostly the reason of last month was just way too busy. So I was kind of getting to the point where I was like, okay, I'm going to play this game and then Now I'm just kind of waiting to see what the bug fix situation is going to be like. Because if I'm just going to experience the game and they're going to be fixing it soon anyways, I'm fine with waiting a little longer. So
That's kind of where I'm at.
yeah. As far as the No Man's Sky style comeback, I already assumed that this game, there's no way they put that much development into it just to be like, well, that's the game, fuck you. Like, that's not happening. So
I've been saying this. I think that the game should have been delayed again, but I also think in a year's time, this game will be remembered for its bugs when it launched, but I don't think it's going to be known for that anymore.
Also, there's plenty of people out there who are enjoying themselves. So, like,
A lot of people, and I know some people, it's their game of the year.
yeah. So, I just to summarize a huge chunk of this, a bunch of stuff that they said was scrapped or cut. I mean, that's game development, so like that makes sense. Obviously, if they were someone who worked in there and they're talking about it as if they had all these crazy ideas, like we wouldn't have known better either way, right? So like, I don't really feel like I'm necessarily missing out just because I wasn't told all of that stuff. There's some stuff like the underground part I'm a little bummed out about because that's just more area, and I'm kind of curious what looked ugly meant, like technically ugly or like thematically ugly. Because if it was thematically ugly, like I don't see the issue there.
I don't think that's what they mean.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But I'm just, it's not a very good.
It says to the execs, so it sounds like somebody didn't like the way it looked. If this is true,
Yeah. I do imagine we're going to see a lot of this stuff that it has said a couple times in here that, once again, assuming this is all true, a lot of the stuff will probably get reintroduced in DLCs. This is CD Projekt Red as well. I'm sure a lot of the stuff will be added for free, and they will eventually have huge content packs that we can buy.
If they add any of this, it needs to be for free because people will be insanely, and for good purpose, be upset with getting cut content sold to them for extra.
For sure.
Also, I believe CD Projekt Red said that there would be no microtransactions to the game.
Right. Except for, I think, in the multiplayer.
The multiplayer, yeah. Which they separated them, I think, for that exact purpose, so that they could sell microtransactions and not break their promise.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, I don't see them... I don't see them charging for anything for a while at this point.
If they like release far down the line like an expansion, that would make sense to me.
Yeah, exactly. Other than that, I see just to use the first part again, the No Man's Sky style comeback. No Man's Sky has not charged anybody for anything since the launch of the game. So and they just keep pumping stuff into the game. I don't know if they're gonna go that far, but I do imagine at least for the next year we're gonna see something like that. So
yeah, and I don't know if I really. It's hard for me to compare No Man's Sky and Cyberpunk outside of that they're both games that came out and some people were upset with them.
Rough launches,
because No Man's Sky came out and people who didn't research the game were confused, and there is the lie that he told where he said that you'd be able to play together like multiplayer and shit. Which I think he said on accident, but he still said it, so it's a lie. Outside of that, though, a lot of people just didn't know what the game was they're getting into, and Sony advertised that game like it was a AAA game. It wasn't.
Yeah.
They have since then made the game people wanted, and people still bitch about it. But the thing with Cyberpunk, you're essentially playing a fucking early access game right now. It wasn't marketed as such. It shouldn't be that way, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
It feels like it's an early access game in some ways, specifically for the people who can't play it. That's a broken game. But, even for people on PC and stuff like that, I've heard some people talk about it, and it sounds like the bugs they're running into sound like shit you run into when you buy like a game in early access.
Yeah.
So, it's hard to compare the two because Cyberpunk, regardless of how you feel about it feeling like an early access game possibly or being broken, these are things that they're going to but are also actively working on fixing and making better, and they're going to release stuff that's already planned to remedy that. So it's a different situation. It's hard to compare the two for me. As for the cut content, you're kind of talking about being bummed and stuff. I think it's enlightening on a 7-year development cycle to show where that time went and how much of it got cut. a lot of people keep going like, you guys worked on this for 7 years. Like, this is all that we get. And I don't agree with that sentiment. But I think if this is true, that's enlightening. That there's a shitload of stuff they worked on in that 7 years that didn't make it to the game. Which is a bummer. I mean, it's a bummer for sure if that is true. I'm saying if it's true because, again, reiterating, take it with a grain of salt. We don't know if any of this is true. But a lot of it sounds pretty legitimate to me. But again, I don't know. But yeah, like whole sections of the game being cut out, rooms that you can't loot being cut out, which would have been, an experience I think more people were looking forward to. The idea of being able to go into more places and loot stuff. Cutting out the subway, 50,000 lines of dialogue. That's a shitload. That just shows, that's 7 years. A lot of that didn't make it, if that's true. Quest lines, stuff like that being cut out. I mean, like, yeah, if this was cut out and it had enough work put into it, or possibly could have more work put into it, that's something I hope they bring to it later. At the very least, if a lot of this got cut, but they can like repurpose it now that they have the time that the game's released and they're already in a shitstorm anyway, work on it until it's good and then release it again. So you have the time now. You've already kind of made the big mistake, so it's time to remedy that. The Sony being furious thing, I don't really need that to be leaked. I can already assume that Sony was upset by that. I still don't think they tried to get revenge on CD Projekt Red like a lot of people kind of built up, but I do think that they took a broken product off their store so they didn't have to give refunds, because Sony does not like giving refunds. And the updates will be out by mid-March. Time will tell on that, but I think that's kind of an easy shot in the dark anyway, considering they said early 2021.
Falls in line with what I heard anyways, which was they were going to have one update in January and one in February. So
that's what I thought too. But those are... Yeah, I don't know. They've literally said that already.
They said that when they were doing damage control.
Yeah,
they had brought that.
I thought they were saying that even before the game released.
Well, they may have. I just know that they brought it up again. If that is the case, when they were talking about how like they're working on fixes, blah blah. They're gonna get it on as fast as possible. There's a patch coming out like in a day or two.
Well, I know GameSpot or GameStop was like telling people too, like, oh, don't refund it because they got big patches coming out in like January, stuff like that. And trying to stop people from refunding the game because they're going to refund it and they're going to come back and buy it later once the game's fixed. So and then the Johnny Silverhand thing is interesting. That kind of coincides with the, if you look in the art book that comes with the special collector's edition, he does have a look that kind of resonates with what they're describing here. So I feel like a lot of this is probably accurate. Does it really blow my mind in any way? Not really. Cut content is, like you said, even though to this degree, I don't think it's not this big, but cut content happens with everything. Happens with movies, happens with music, happens with fucking video games. There's certain things that just don't work. You cut it out. There's assets to games that people like can find sometimes, and they like explore like sections of the game that was never actually finished. So that makes sense to me, but that's a lot of content that they cut. So hopefully they can kind of implement that later. Kind of not the same, but kind of similar. Elder Scrolls Online, people were upset that it wasn't like an Elder Scrolls game.
I had no problem with it.
Yeah, well, I never expected it to be. It's a fucking MMO. It's not going to be exactly like Elder Scrolls. But
well, I guess I should specify. I had a problem with it not knowing which direction it wanted to go. It felt like it was confused when I first played it. So. Yeah,
it just felt like a rudimentary, run-of-the-mill MMO to me when I first played it. The thing people were upset about, though, is it wasn't like Skyrim, where you could like walk around and just like jack shit from everywhere. So they added systems to do that. So it sounds like, they could kind of do that with some of this content that they've cut. They could, maybe add those rooms that they cut out where you could loot them. I would like to see that. Sections of the city that they've taken away, like the underground, stuff like that. Hopefully they can bring that back. Maybe make it not look as ugly so the executive doesn't go, I don't like the way it looks. But yeah, other than that, this sounds about right. Just I think the big thing they got to fix, though, is that police pathfinding, which they will. They'll fix that for sure, because that's like a legitimate issue, because any encounter I've had with police in that game has been lackluster. I know that's a very common thing I've heard. So What do you think the likelihood is that these leaks are real?
I mean, I'd say it's probably pretty good, just because it's pretty common for people to go do this on specifically 4chan, just because the anonymity. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's pretty good too. None of this sounds crazy to me. This all sounds like some stuff that could be real. A lot of it kind of coincides with certain things. And some of it, I mean, you wouldn't even you could totally lie about it and nail it. Like the whole like update coming out mid-March or whatever, even if it landed around that month, you could be like, well, I thought like it was going to be around that time. So, but yeah, I mean, it seems pretty legit to me, but no way to know until they maybe introduce some of this content, or we see that update in mid-March, mid-mock. Yeah, anything else you want to say on this? Anything you want from Cyberpunk? You barely played it, so
I can't even say anything. I literally played the intro to the game.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm happy with it, but there's some content here that I would like to see implemented into it if it was actually cut from the game. I want that police pathfinding fixed, and I can't wait to see what they bring up with these big updates coming up. I've been playing the game incrementally just to see how it's been updated since the first time I played it, which was a buggy mess. And even in the time I've been playing it, has been cleaned up. And I want to see what they add to it as they go, because it's kind of an interesting experiment. And I mean, I shouldn't say it in that way, because people have been, in some ways, they feel like they've been fucked over, and some have, especially with the broken game. But I've been curious to see this game that was released in the state that it was, and seeing how they are recovering from it. So I really want to see what these big updates in January, February, and possibly mid-March are. But when it comes down to it, it's just like the bottom line, I hope they can make people happy. I'm happy. I want everybody else to be happy with the game. There's things that could be fixed in the game, and they'll do it. They'll fix it for sure. I can't imagine them not doing it.
Well, I also imagine, too, just because the amount of copies of the game that's sold, the amount of people who are upset is going to be larger, just because the pool is much larger anyways, and it is a rough situation. So, but I would also say that there's a ton of people who just aren't saying anything, and they're just playing it. So
yeah, I got people on my Steam just playing it all the time. So it's funny too, when Sony pulled it, I saw people on Twitter all over the place going, like, adding Sony. They're like, please put it back, I want to play this. Like, why'd you take it away? Blah blah blah. And I'm like, that's crazy that like certain people are playing, they're like, this game's fucking broken, and they're pissed off. And other people are like, no, I didn't get a chance to buy it yet. And you can go buy it physically, but like they wanted to buy it on the fucking
right. Not
PlayStation
everyone
Store.
wants to buy physical copies.
Yeah. So even with that shitstorm that was happening, people were still trying to get that game to play it. So it's crazy. Anything else you want to say on this?
It'll be an interesting 6 months at the very least to see what happens with this game. So
yeah, I'm actually kind of stoked to see where it goes, because like I said, hold me to this. I think in the next year they're gonna fix it and make it better. So
for sure.
And I think a lot of people are gonna forget about this outside of, remember when it launched? It was kind of a fucking mess.
So you're always gonna have your people who can't let things go, like you said with No Man's Sky. The majority of people I've like actually talked to about it.
Anybody in real life who's still pissed about it.
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, no, the game's great now. But yeah, you'll go into certain pockets of the internet and people just act like someone stabbed their mother. So
great pocket is Sean Murray's comments.
Yeah,
on every one of his posts. Those are good.
Yeah, if you don't,
those are good pockets.
I say when you were the bad guy, it's real easy to find people because they just follow you for the pleasure of being a dick. So,
some people enjoy that. They like getting away. It's just like when you play like Grand Theft Auto and like you do shit you want to do in real life to see what it's like. Like when you're on the internet, you can be like, I'm gonna fucking really dig into this person because I'm not gonna do this in real life. So I want to see what happens here. There's like a morbid curiosity. But then like there's also people who like legitimately feel betrayed and they don't know how to let go of that. So they don't trust them and they want to let them know every chance they get that they don't trust them, they don't like them, all that shit. And I'm like, there's got to be a certain part where if you have nothing to do with that guy anymore, you don't want to buy his games or whatever, you got to let it go. Just go fucking not support him.
There are therapists out there. I would recommend one.
That's good advice. Let us know in the comments, what do you guys think about these alleged leaks that you should take with a grain of salt? Do you think they're real? Do you think they're not real? I I think I said this already, but I think they're very likely as well. Well, how likely do you think these leaks are? What leak is particularly interesting to you guys? What do you guys think about the Johnny Silverhand thing? What do you guys think about the cut content? What do you think about that police pathfinding thing? That's got to be real. I don't know if it's just someone who messed it up. That sounds kind of weird that someone just like went oops and fucked it up. But little Billy fucked up the police pathfinding. And yeah, what would you guys like to see them add to this game to fix it? What would be a fixed Cyberpunk to you? Obviously, get rid of the bugs, but is there content you feel like that was cut that they're talking about here that you wanted back? I think the AI routine for minor gang violence would have been very cool if that's real. And I also, oddly enough, think that the apartments with closed locked on it, they used to be lootable allegedly. That game cut kind of sucks because I think that would have added a lot to the idea of like a game where you can go around and just like steal shit and explore and stuff like that. But yeah, let me know everything you're thinking about when it comes to Cyberpunk 2077 and the leaks in the comments below. But that's going to do it for this episode of Tasty Tuesday on Tasty Loot Gaming. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and check out our other episodes. Check us out on social media, link down below. Check us out on Discord, link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all the time. We're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you prefer to listen to us. And we have a Patreon link down below as well if you'd like to support the channel, further liking, commenting, and sharing this video, and subscribing if you're new. And yeah, I think that's everything. This Saturday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we'll be doing a stream to celebrate 2,000 subscribers. And yeah, my name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
Till the next episode, which will be something soon. Till then, have a good week, guys, and take it easy.